This is part 41, and in this part we shall be dealing with two exceptions, namely section 77, which says nothing is an offense which is done by a judge when acting judicially in the exercise of any power which is or which in good faith he believes to be given to him by law. So judge is protected as far as section 77 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. And then section 78, which deals with cases where it says nothing which is done in pursuance of or which is warranted by a judgment or order of a court of justice if done. Rest, such judgment or order remains in force is an offense, notwithstanding the court may have had no jurisdiction to pass such judgment or order, provided the person doing the act in good faith believes that the court had such jurisdiction. So now, right in the beginning, you will, immediately it will strike you that this is a time for you to understand who is the judge with which we are dealing at present, as far as both the sections are concerned. And hence, in order to know who is judge, you have to have reference back to general explanations and read section 19, which says the word judge denotes not only every person who is officially designated as a judge, but also every person who is empowered by law to give in any legal proceeding, civil or criminal, a definitive judgment or a judgment which is not appealed against would be definitive, or a judgment which if confirmed by some other authority would be definitive, or who is one of the body of persons, which body of person is empowered by law to give such a judgment. And the illustration, for example, now the collector is a judge, no doubt about it, because the role he is not, though he is not designated as a judge accordingly. So now who is judge? Judge means denotes not only every person who is officially designated as a judge, but also every person. It says every person who is empowered by law to give in any legal proceeding, civil or criminal, a definitive judgment. Now the details regarding judgment, judge, you will have understanding, right? This is the time for me to tell you that some part of the Indian Penal Code can be understood by you at the time when you come to know the procedural law. For example, you know the Civil Procedure Code, you know the Criminal Procedure Code, you know other, say land laws accordingly, where you will come to know that who is acting as a judge and what is the role of the judge. But here we will try to simplify both the sections by a simple illustration, like a situation where if a lower court has convicted an accused person for any offense, the matter goes to the higher court, and the higher court has set aside the order of conviction because there is a provision of appeal. If you think that you are aggrieved by the decision which is given by the lower court, you can go to the higher court, and if that decision is reversed by the high court as far as the appellate jurisdiction is concerned, for that period, if the person was in jail, can it be said that the judge has done some wrong, or those who have acted as per the directions which were given by the judge were wrong accordingly, is the question for our consideration. And answer, the nature of the work that is required to be done on the part of the judge is such a crucial work that it is must for him to scrutinize the evidence. Evidence may be on both the parties, may be on behalf of the prosecution and the defense, may be on behalf of the plaintiff and the defense and the defendant, and then ultimately he has to come to the conclusion, and that conclusion, if it is reversed by the higher court, can it be said that he was wrong? And hence it says such a judge is protected as far as section 77 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, where the protection is given to the judges. When protection is given, it says nothing is an offense which is done by judge. First term, he must be a judge as defined by section 19. Secondly, when acting judicially, So what is his capacity? He is acting judicially, he is discharging judicial functions which are entrusted to him. It's, this protection is not, applicable as far as individual or personal capacity is concerned, only when he is acting judicially. In the exercise of any power which is, or which in good faith he believes to be given to him by law. So if he believes in good faith that that is the power which is given to him by law, as per which he has done the act, or as per which he has delivered a judgment or passed an order accordingly, then he is protected as far as section 77 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. Now, to understand both the sections together, let me give you a very interesting illustration. It so happened that Mr. A was arrested by the police on the accusation of the charge of murder in the year 1970. This is, you have to imagine. And then the matter went to the court of law. First of all, he was tried by the court of session. The court of session came to the conclusion that it is a rarest of rare case, and the decision that was, the sentence that was pronounced by death penalty, the matter went to the High Court for confirmation. It was confirmed by the High Court. Ultimately, it was confirmed by the Supreme Court, and the death sentence was executed maybe after in the year 1975. So A was executed because he, it was proved and everything. There was evidence to such an extent, no doubt about that he had, by killing Mr. B, he had committed the offence of murder, and his case falls under the rarest of rare case as per the decision given by the Supreme Court in Bachchan Singh's case in the year 1980. All right, that is over now. This is one part of the story. Now, in the year 1970, when this was executed, in the year 1976, Mr. Z was arrested by the police on the accusation that he had killed Mr. C. And then when Z was arrested by the police and he was taken before, he started telling, this is right time. This time I have killed Mr. C. That is the reason why you arrested me. But in the past, you arrested Mr. A and you hanged him on the accusation of the offence of murder of killing Mr. B. It was not A, but I had killed. Now, can in such a situation, this is, let me tell you, during the course of lecture, you might have understood one thing. We always take into consideration extreme cases, and it is only because of the extreme cases that it is possible for you to make your fundas very clear as far as understanding of a particular section is concerned. And hence, in this case, if this is now the case that reveals, what is the liability of the judge? What is the liability of the judge who has pronounced the sentence of death? What is the liability of the High Court judge? What is the liability of the Supreme Court judge? What is the liability of one who has executed the order of execution of a death sentence accordingly? Who has executed that? So all these persons, judges are protected as far as section 77 is concerned, or judges, those who act as per the directions which are given by the judge are protected as far as section 78 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. So this is why, because those judges are human beings, those who act as per the directions which are given by the judge are also human beings, and at times the order which is given by the judge, sometimes it may happen that the order which is given is also reversed by the higher court accordingly, and as long as the person doing the act in good faith believes that the court had such jurisdiction. Now this is a case where the court has, at times, for example, court exceeds the jurisdiction. The court had no jurisdiction and acted accordingly. That also case, if the court believes in good faith, that is protected as far as section 78 of those who have acted as per the directions which are given by the judge are protected as far as section 78 is concerned, and those where the order is given by the court of the order is passed by the judge is protected as far as section 77 is concerned. Now, there are cases where the order is given by the judge to attach a property of some person, and the property of some other person is attached because of the mistake, and this is a time where both of them, namely the judge is also protected, because I mean he has given order as per whatever he had on the record accordingly, and one who has acted as per the direction of the judge is also protected. At times the judge may exceed the jurisdiction and do an act accordingly, so there the judge is protected, and the judge is protected subject to one condition, that as I mean you read the section which says nothing is an offence which is done by judge when acting judicially in the exercise of any power which is or which in good faith he believes to be given to him by law. So that is one thing. And secondly, section 77, as it says, nothing which is done in pursuance of or which is warranted by the judgment or order of a court of justice, if done, which such judgment or order remains in force, is an offence, notwithstanding the court may have had no jurisdiction to pass such judgment or order, provided the person doing the act in good faith believes that the court had such jurisdiction. Now let me tell you, these are the sections where some understanding of the procedural law is must, in order to, during course of time, if at all it is possible, I mean we shall be coming across many more illustrations so that this becomes very clear. But for the time being, one who can give a definitive judgment, if, as you know that he is a judge, whatever act is done by the judge as far as his judicial capacity is concerned, he is protected. And those who act as per the direction which is given by the judge, they are also protected as per section 78 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. This is the time. In the next part, we shall be dealing with only one section, and which is that section 80 of the Indian Penal Code, which deals with what do you mean by accident as a defense. That is one section with which we shall be dealing, because there is, I mean, I told you to club the sections, no doubt about it, but whenever you want to know as to what do you mean by accident as a defense, I mean, when person can say that he is protected because his case falls under section 80 of the Indian Penal Code, is the one section with which we will continue our discussion as far as next part, or as far as our next part of series of lectures is concerned.